Told your friend you're not okay, and tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. And guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray as you fade away, as you fade away.
Yeah, I'm about to fade away.
Good morning, Rouser Radio from the White Hart Hotel, Lewes, East Sussex.
The same way, gotta build up of my thoughts sitting in an ashtray. I'm sorry that I'm so inconvenient, okay. Just let me be.
And the morning for the monarch continues.
When you look at me, I'm such a disgrace. I never really asked to be brought into this place.
It's the Lion State in Scotland.
Well then, baby, have a taste. All the highs and the lows, no, you'll never be the same. I don't
Before hearing that,
hurt you, but I can't control the pain. If you're sticking by my side, maybe we could be okay.
the weather today is going to reach 24, back up again. A scattered cloud and a moderate breeze. Not a bad day.
I know you told your friend you're not okay, and tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. And guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away.
It's the 12th of September in the year 2022. What a memorable year it has been, and mostly for not good reasons.
Fade away, as you fade away.
Good morning, and welcome to Rouser Radio, broadcasting from the very ancient coaching inn, the White Hart in Lewes, East Sussex. A morning when all solemnity is due, but by the same token, a lovely morning, and one I am quite sure that our past monarch would want us to enjoy. She lies, or prepares to lie in state, for what are turning out to be the adoring millions passing her coffin. If there was any question about the popularity either of her as a monarch and as the monarchy as an institution, surely these days are proving both. And Prince Charles, now King Charles III, has been given a very warm welcome by the crowds. Can he live up to his early billing? Only time will tell. He's certainly affirmed that he plans to try to emulate his mother, to try to bring the same sense of duty, the same sense of pride, the same sense of honour to both the monarchy and to the country. And let's hope that he continues to fulfill those objectives, and that the bright start that he's made, that it doesn't fade away, as our theme tune suggests. Okay, here we go then. It's 7:36, and it is a gorgeous morning. Promise of 24 degrees, a scattered cloud, and a bit of a breeze. But other than that, no chance of rain, or very little chance of rain, and it looks as if it's going to be absolutely a brilliant day, and so it should be. Right, we're not going to try to repeat what others are saying with a far greater following and a far greater reach than us. But just to reiterate that the Queen is now in a state of mourning, or at least we are in a state of mourning for the Queen. As one commentator said, we now have to get used to saying the Queen after 70 years of saying God save the Queen. And it's going to take some getting used to, I suppose, because it's one of those things that we say as a matter of rote. Okay, shall we? Let's play a little music. Uh, well, let the Mini Vandals break the mood, break the somber mood with "Down with Your Get Up." It is now 7:37, and time for you all to get up. Well, there you go. It's Down with Your Get Up from the Mini Vandals, and it is 7:40. That is, in real language, 20 to 8, and the 12th day of September, 2022. Dun, 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 dun. Right, okay. And where are we in terms of what's going on in the world? Well, there's only one thing, well, by British standards anyway, is you would not think that there's much else going on in the world, but the papers actually do give grudging acknowledgement to the fact that the Russians are on the retreat at the moment. That the Ukrainians are showing them a bit of resistance, and that they have actually backtracked and lost some towns that they'd already taken. But let's take a look at the paper, shall we? The Metro, and it shows the coffin draped in the Royal Standard with the Scottish Regiment carrying it. The whole of the front page to the start of the Queen's final journey from Balmoral to Holyrood House, dedicating the entirety of its front page to the pallbearers carrying the Queen's coffin, and it pays tribute to our gracious Queen. The Financial Times, it actually follows the same pattern. The Queen's coffin begins journey south as King Charles prepares for a whistle-stop tour across Britain. The FT also does bring us up to date with the war in Ukraine. The Ukraine offensive makes significant gains. Also, just one interesting little side level is China emerges as the IMF competitor with £330 billion dollars in rescue loans to debt-hit nations. It says the big difference between what China is doing and the International Monetary Fund is that the International Monetary Fund always has conditions tied to its loans for reform. China doesn't, it just gives the money. And I'm sure that with some regimes that is a very tempting way to borrow or be given a lump sum. As well as writing about the Queen's journey, the Financial Times highlights the Ukraine forces making significant gains, recapturing some of the 3,000 square miles of territory it lost to Russia. Incidentally, while we talk about the monarch traveling south towards her final resting place, it might be interesting to note that there are something like 60 constitutional monarchies in the world. And locally, when I say locally, I mean within Europe, the outstanding ones are Norway, Sweden, Denmark, and the Netherlands, and ourselves. And what is the common factor between those countries which have a constitutional monarchy is their stability. They do not have uprisings. They do not have attacks on the heads of state. They do not have huge groups of people trying to overturn what we've got at the moment. And if there is anything that this radio station and its television sister, Mirador Television, vow, is to ignore those people who cannot stand the thought of a monarchy. And that's fine. You are totally entitled to your own opinions. But the fact is that they have been foul-mouthed and petty and silly and stupid about the whole thing. They simply cannot zip their lips. They cannot actually stop having a go at the Queen or at the monarchy or Charles or whatever. They can't stop it. Now, with all due respect, first of all, I don't notice that they have suggested any alternatives. Well, yeah, one or two of the old standby of let's have a republic and let's have a president and so on and so forth. Well, there's so many of those that have gone wrong, is that I query the veracity of that sort of governance. But by the same token, it does not. It is a tired old dogma. Let's have that instead. and that is nothing. That's not making any contribution whatsoever. But it's the mean-spiritedness of these people that gets me. I really don't want any system, or for that matter, any group that is as mean-spirited as these people are to lead me. I will take what we've got at the moment, thank you. I do not want the nastiness that these people bring to their so-called ideas for leadership and governance. They let themselves down and they let their argument down. And as long as they can't overcome that, then keep your lip buttoned. The eye, the Queen's final journey begins, it says, and it shows again the picture, the photo. I assume it's sort of a Getty or Reuters photo. And it shows the coffin draped in the Royal Standard with it must be 8 soldiers from the Scottish, one of the Scottish regiments, carrying it. The eye, examining the next few days in more detail, it writes on King Charles III's roll on Monday afternoon, leading the procession to the Queen's next stop on her journey, St Giles Cathedral in Edinburgh. The Guardian. The Queen begins her final journey. It also gives equal space to Russia launches revenge attacks as Ukraine offensive gathers pace. The Guardian writes that part of us goes with her as far as the Queen is concerned. It also turns its attention to the Ukraine war, detailing Russia's revenge attacks as Ukraine forces make gains. Well, in its headline, it doesn't tell us what the revenge attacks are. We'll have to dig into that a little later. The Daily Mirror, the same photograph, the final journey home. And a somber front page for the Mirror. It focuses on a photo of the Queen's final journey home. A commemorative pullout celebrates a life of joy and duty. The Daily Telegraph, her last great journey. Same photo, and it features tributes from columnists on the impact of the Queen's reign, with Nick Timothy writing that the late monarch taught us what it means to be British. Well, that opens up some debate. The Daily Express. The Queen's saddest journey begins, and the Daily Express devotes its front page to what it calls the Queen's saddest journey. The Daily Star. Thousands line the streets to say goodbye to the Queen, and it has got a different, same photograph with the 8 soldiers carrying the coffin and the Royal Standard draped over it, and her final journey. So with the photograph, once again, their headline. It says Princess Anne and Prince Andrew are shown in the Daily Star paying their respects to the Queen. It writes about the thousands lining the streets of Edinburgh to say their goodbyes, and that has been one of the features so far, is the thousands, perhaps heading towards millions of people who are paying interest in this, paying interest to this, and who are indeed grief-stricken at the fact that the monarch has gone. The Times, similar photograph with the soldiers and the coffin. Her final journey begins. A wrap of the pallbearers' procession covers the Times, underlining the gravity of the occasion. The other side of the double-page spread carries a quote from Nicola Sturgeon, who says, "Scotland was special to the Queen, and she was special to Scotland." And as it says, all of the front pages feature pictures of the late Queen's coffin being carried by members of the Royal Company of Archers. And that's who the soldiers are, the Royal Company of Archers in Edinburgh. And most headlines refer to her final and saddest journey. The Mail says that she left Balmoral to morning bird song, the muted sobs of her devoted staff, and Gled Gelder, a favourite lament played by a lone piper. A report in the Daily Telegraph describes people waiting for a glimpse of the coffin along the route to Edinburgh. It says, ripples of applause broke out, heads were bowed, eyes misted over. Under the headline, 5-mile queue for the Queen, the Times says more than 750,000 people are expected to file past her coffin in Westminster Hall during her lying in state. The paper says queuing times could reach 20 hours. As many as 10,000 police officers will be deployed, and up to 1,500 soldiers will be available to help control the crowds. According to The Guardian, foreign heads of state arriving for the funeral on Monday of next week have been told they must travel by bus to Westminster Abbey rather than using private cars. The paper says it has seen government documents urging dozens of presidents, kings, queens, and prime ministers to travel by commercial flights to avoid swamping London airports. The instructions will pose a problem for President Biden, who is likely to require a significant amount of additional security. A report in the Times says the Queen's heavy coffin was made more than 30 years ago from English oak. It is also lined with lead, which means it's extremely heavy, and will be carried by 8 military bearers on the day of the funeral. Well, it was carried by 8 military bearers yesterday. An editorial in The Sun praises senior members of the royal family for what it calls their flawless response to the Queen's death, with King Charles making a seamless transition from prince to monarch, and William and Kate magnanimously inviting Harry and Meghan to the impromptu walkabout in Windsor, despite their very public rift. But the paper warns that Harry has an autobiography coming out, which is bound to sling more mud. Oh, Harry, you never learn. He's under the influence of his wife. The Daily Express is one of a number of papers reporting that the late Queen's 2 corgis will be looked after by Prince Andrew and his daughter, Princess Beatrice. According to the Daily Star, Queen Camilla will assume the oversight of 24 racehorses and some 80 blood mares, which King Charles has inherited from his mother. The Guardian highlights the recent significant advances by the Ukrainian army against Russia in the northeast. The paper says Ukraine had quietly amassed forces in the region, while the Russian military intelligence failed to spot the buildup. A senior Ukraine commander told the Financial Times that he was surprised by what he called Russian troops' cowardly behavior. He said they fled Ukrainian advances in such a hurry the meals were still set on canteen tables, and there were stashes of ammunition and weaponry near the trenches. And another story in the FT reports that China has turned into a major competitor to the IMF in recent years, giving tens of billions of dollars in secretive emergency loans to countries at risk of financial crises. Data collected by a research lab at the William and Mary University in the United States shows that Pakistan, Sri Lanka, and Argentina have been the biggest recipients of the lending. According to the paper, China's loans exacerbate the problem of debt to stressed countries because, unlike the IMF, Beijing does not demand reforms. So there you are. There you are indeed. That's all the papers. And it's taken us to 7:55. So let's go to a breeze. that's The Breeze by Telecasted, and that takes us back to a little bit more calm. But if you want crisis, the crisis is on the cricket pitch, because England were cruising to a test victory. They only needed 33 runs to win, and they'd got 9 wickets left. And what happened? The umpires decided that the light was too bad to continue and took the players off. And there is much, much, much frustration amongst not only players but the England staff that such a move should be made, particularly with an important test match. Was the light too bad? Was it dangerous? Well, apparently the batsmen were cruising. There were lovely strokes and well within, well, they got 9 wickets to get 30 runs. If the light had actually made play dangerous or it affect the ability of the batting side to score runs, it was not obvious. So we've got the real crisis is on the cricket pitch, but there's no question that morally we won the series. We were well on the way. There was some upset at the Grand Prix in Italy. Max Verstappen with Red Bull won the thing, with Charles Leclerc second. Lewis Hamilton came fourth. Let's see what else. Maybe a talking point, because most sport, of course, was cancelled for the weekend as a mark of respect to the monarch, and I think that that's absolutely right and proper that they should. This monarchy has been very great supporters of sport at all levels. There is never an international, there is not a royal present. Let's see. You can feel a sense of emptiness. Nobody is jumping up and down, and that's from Dettori. Well, the fact that she loved racing, I think, is the main gist of that. And it looks as if rugby is all up and down with a lot of mudslinging. There's a report on the Gloucester Wasps match. Right, and it's just looking at city finance, which is always a bit sparse on a Monday morning. But the Chinese puzzle for Mog is, after rushing into action in their first 48 hours in office, the Liz Truss economic and business teams have been granted some thinking time by the nation's days of mourning. Among the conundrums is what Jacob Rees-Mogg will do at the Department for Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy. He is off to a flying start with an energy strategy. The complicated stuff around support for big power companies is unresolved. The cost of living figures add to stress pressure. That's basically all the business stuff this morning. Always very sparse on a Monday morning. The international markets haven't got going yet, particularly New York. Don't I know it? When I worked at Reuters on a Friday, we weren't able to put our program to bed because the New York Stock Exchange didn't close until 9 o'clock in London. And since this was an international program and going out first thing Saturday morning, it caused us some concern. We had to come up with a wheeze, as it were, where we could put in the American market figures and the trends, which are always very important to global markets and to this country, for that matter, and so that we could actually get the thing onto the satellite. And sometimes that was midnight before it zoomed off to 85 different countries in the world. So we did our bit from time to time when I was a little younger. Indeed, we did. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. It's 8:02. This time goes very quickly. And, of course, the main stories in all the papers this morning, and particularly with poignant pictures, is of the Queen's funeral. And I continue to say the Queen, even though now we have a king, King Charles III. I said earlier that some weekend papers reported on the dissidents, those people who can't say anything nice about the royal family and can't say anything positive except that they never come up with anything themselves. Let me point out there are something like 60 some odd monarchies in the world, and the constitutional monarchies, which we are one, the ones closer to home, are Norway, Denmark, the Netherlands, and Sweden. And if you want stable government, well, isn't that funny? Constitutional monarchies and those countries which have very, very stable governments. Very stable governments. And strange enough, let's not forget Japan, because it has a constitutional monarchy as well. And since the war, Japan has been a very stable country. Very stable indeed. And what is the other great stable country in the world that has a constitutional monarchy? Why, it is us, of course. It is us. So all these people who badmouth and don't have anything to offer in return for getting rid of what they don't like, and their mean-spiritedness, and that's really what puts me off. I don't want any mean-spirited people as head of state, and mean-spirited they are. And if there's anything that you could not say about the Queen is that she was mean-spirited. On the contrary, she was gracious, full of energy, and full of concern for her people. So let's put all these naysayers in perspective. If you listen to them and you hear them and they seem to make sense, don't listen to their siren song. A constitutional monarchy is not the easiest thing to understand, but it is a form of government that is splendid. Part of the makeup of our constitutional monarchy is that we actually follow Plato's Republic. Plato, writing in about 400 BC, says the best forms of government are where you have a monarchy, an oligarchy, in other words, a House of Lords or a second chamber, and a democracy combined in one. And what do we have? We have a monarchy, we have an oligarchy, the House of Lords, and we have a democracy, the Houses of Parliament, all combined in one. Funny that, isn't it? Funny how we have followed the diktat of 1800 year old, philosopher from Greece, and followed his suggested method of government or governance as being the very best. We followed it, and the stability of our government is beyond question, absolutely beyond question. 8:06. We've got time for one more thing, I think. So let's go to In Five Straight Rows with the Mini Vandals, my favourite group. If that didn't work, nothing will. Van, van, dilly dee dee dee. That is in 5 straight rows from the Mini Vandals. And it is now 8:09, coming up to when we say goodbye on this program, as we prepare the airwaves for our television service, Mirador Television. You can get Mirador Television on Facebook, Mirador Television Lewis, Lewis Television Mirador. You can get it on our website, miradortelevision.com, or you can get it on YouTube with Mirador Television, and on LinkedIn, similarly, Mirador Television. And it seems to find its way to all sorts of other nooks and crannies. So do look for it, and hopefully you'll enjoy it. But this is our little radio show, which we do before we go on the air with television, and we hope that we prepare you for what's coming up. What's coming up this morning? Well, we will have Suzanne Musho on from New York. Always bubbly. How in God's name, at 4 o'clock in the morning in New York. God bless her. She is so bubbly, I will never know. But she certainly keeps us all dancing around. And then we will be chatting about a variety of things as the morning goes on. And what we do is we broadcast from the heart of the White Hart, the ancient coaching inn in Lewis, right bang in the centre of the town on the high street. And we sometimes hijack people, almost kidnap them, and get them to come in and tell us what they're doing here in Lewis and what is keeping their minds active. So all that coming up at 8:30, and saying for here goodbye, and we'll what should we play? I think well, something gentle. Your love, young Logos. Your love from young Logos. It is 13 minutes past 8. You can expect 24 degrees out there this morning, a light breeze, some overcast patchy patches of cloud. And all in all, not an unpleasant day. this is the last day for this week that is going to hit 24, so enjoy it today. A nice day, a pleasant day, a good day. And so it should be as we head off into the autumn, or for our American cousins, into the fall. That's it, really, for this morning. We had ourselves on Mirador television, just showing that we were at work. Really, there's nothing special about it, but just an opportunity for people to see us humming and hawing. So that's it for this morning. The morning that the Queen has reached Holyrood in Edinburgh, and there lies in state for 2 days before the journey south, and her body appearing in Westminster Abbey to be viewed by an estimated 750,000 people. So, toodle pip, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Not okay. And tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. And guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray as you fade away, as you fade away.
Yeah, I'm about to fade away, cause every time I wake up I feel like it's Monday. Something's going wrong with all the chemicals up in my brain. All of a sudden I don't look at anything the same way. Got a buildup of my thoughts sitting in an ashtray. I'm sorry that I'm so inconvenient, okay. Just let me be me and I'll stay out of your way. I can see the way you look at me, I'm such a disgrace. I never really asked to be brought into this place.